Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet Hickox. It's time to grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back and relax. Then we can talk about what is going on in the energy and the astrology of the week ahead. It is a crazy morning here at my house. And just as I was getting ready to start my broadcast, somehow everything just stopped and I had to restart. So my apologies. I was only really maybe 30 seconds late. I don't know. Anyway, it's good to be here with you. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Today, we have quite a bit to talk about, as this week, of course, is the new moon in Pisces. And as we started talking about on Friday, there is a lot to go on that is going on and will come to Pisces energy this week, including the new moon. And including this morning, very early, the dwarf planet Ceres also moved into Pisces energy. So we're going to talk about that. And one of the things that I didn't get to talk about on Friday because I ran out of time is the fact that Mars has stationed direct, but at a certain gate in our human design, and he will sit there at that gate for a very long time. Well, seemingly, right? And it is an interesting gate, the gate 53, the gate of starting things. And I want to take us through that. And then on Tuesday this week, we have Mercury in Pisces, conjunct Saturn in Pisces. And then that is the lead in to the new moon on Thursday that is in Pisces. So lots going on. Pisces everywhere. Those of you out there who are Pisces must be really feeling the effects of this. Um, and for those of you who have a lot of openness in your human design, especially if you have an open emotional solar plexus, you're really feeling this because these energies are all lined up on the solar plexus, the emotional center. It is also the center for creativity. So some of you may be feeling like you've gotten really creative or that there are a lot of ideas flowing. Some of you may be feeling really tired, really like you are, still living in the dream world, even though you're in the real world. During the day, you may be feeling like you want to go back to bed. And when you go back to bed, you're dreaming so much you feel like you're alive in the real world. Uh, it could just be a very odd time for all of us right now. And wherever it is that you have Pisces in your natal chart, is where by house there is a lot happening. So there is a lot for us to talk about in terms of how to handle this energy, how to move through it. I was talking to a friend this morning. She's a reflector. And as a reflector, she's just able to, anything that she's feeling and anything that is coming up for her is really a reflection of the collective around her. And that is difficult, right? When you're merging through all of these energies and trying to decide, is this mine? Is this mine? Is it not mine? So she's, kind of in a difficult position at the moment. But all of us are likely feeling the effects of the dreaminess, the sleepiness, the, hard to tell what's real versus what's ideal in this time period because of so much that's happening. All righty, let's say good morning to everybody that's out there. Hello, I saw Debbie Tibbetts-Tumiel out there. Good morning. She says, hit that like button, please. Please hit the like button or the thumbs up button, depending on which platform you're on. And of course, share with your networks. Thank you very much. Tom, good morning to you. Diana, good morning to you. She says, even though I have a Leo sun, Virgo rising, I have always identified as my Pisces moon. Likely too, because you have a Virgo rising that's right across from Pisces, right? They're opposite signs. So that axis is activated for you because of the rising in Virgo and the moon in Pisces. So now you've got like this pile right there opposing your ascendant and conjunct your descendant. So there might be some hidden issues even coming up for you, Diana, things that, you thought you were done with that are back, that kind of thing. Good morning, Christine, and good morning to Corey and Pam and Amy D. J Lo, hello. She says, "Sheesh, I have been sleepy since the year started." Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. Jeannie Vibes, good morning. She says, "It is such an odd time, and I feel everything always." Um, Jeannie, I don't know if you're familiar with human design, but maybe it's a time to get your free chart for that and see, when we have these open centers, we're taking in the energy from around us, and then we tend to amplify that energy and rebroadcast it. And it could be a place of a lot of misidentification with who you are, thinking you're something you're not. Um, it can be very difficult. And you could go to my website, www.living-astrology.com. And right there at the top, it says, get your free human design chart. You can do that there. And Kamal, good morning to you. Julie, good morning, she says. And kindly keep me and my family in your prayers. My dad, who was in hospice, died last night peacefully with my mom and two of three sisters. I'm so sorry to hear that, Julie, but peacefully is always a good way to pass on into the next realm. Christine, can an undefined solar plexus do that along with being a Pisces? I'm not sure. When you have an open solar plexus, you really are fielding all of the emotional energy from the world around you, the people around you. And then when you have a time like we're living in right now, where we have so many planets that are on the solar plexus, it gives you ample opportunity to somehow end up, feeling other people's feelings or feeling very emotional yourself, maybe even very creative yourself, which in and of itself isn't a bad thing as long as you're not taking action based on feelings that you think are your own, right? Sometimes an open solar plexus, especially like this, you might need to get away from people or away from the news or away from the input from the outer world as much as you can, just to stay clear and to stay oriented in what is correct for you. So there's that. Yay. Kamal, Mars is getting direct in my 12th house. Is there any relief? Well, Mars turning direct in your 12th house might be a call for that. Some of the inner processing and subconscious patterns that you might have been working through for these past 11 weeks while Mars was in retrograde can now come to the surface and actually be healed in terms of your outer world life. And Asa, my dear friend out there, went through a process this weekend for me. She took all of the things that I said about Mars moving direct in the 12 different houses and how he will change things for you, and as well what happens when Mars moving forward moves back into Leo, and those will be under on my YouTube channel under the YouTube shorts, so you can go back and listen to those that are specific for what houses or what parts of your life are going to be affected by Mars, who is now moving in direct motion. So thank you so much to Asa, by the way, for doing that. She did a bang up job. I love it. Pam Z, good morning. Oh, I already said that hello to you. Um, and Marianne, good morning. And Jeannie Vibes, I need a human design astro reading with you. I'm a mental projector. Okay, that's right. I remember you saying that on Friday. Now that you mention it. And a mental projector, that means you likely have quite a bit open in your human design. And a mental projector means that, you're a thinker and may be very tempted to make decisions based on what you're thinking. But when you're being barraged by incoming information from all around, it makes it hard for you. So we should have a chat about that. And and you have grueling astrology. Yeah, well, we might need to reframe that for you, Jeannie. So let's try to get together sometime soon. Um, okay, so all right. Londa, good morning to you. Tom, some chats going back and forth. Thank you all for chattering with each other. I love that behind the scenes here. And you have the invite, Jeannie. It's your invitation. Join me for a reading. And okay, that's it. Let's get started, shall we? So, and I had the date on Friday, but now I seem to have misplaced my date. So let's see here. Mars is going to be stationed at the gate 53 all the way until March 21st. So that's a long time to sit at one gate. And of course, he's already been sitting there, right? So understanding what the gate 53 is all about could be primary in helping us get through the transition now from Mars retrograde to Mars moving forward. And as Mars stations direct or stationed direct last evening in the sign of Cancer, he, it's starting things. Starting is the name of the gate of starting, or the gate of starting things, or initiating things. And it's a power, this powerful shift signals a time for us to start moving in a new direction. A cycle is unfolding and it's bringing momentum, and it's bringing maybe some fresh energy and maybe a drive to initiate all of those ideas, all of those things that have been sitting, maybe up in your head. It's time to begin the process of putting them out there. So, these last 8, 9, 10 weeks of indecision or emotional frustration have sort of built up within us. And now the energy begins to flow forward. And so the gate 53 provides really a great foundation for us to have new growth in our life and to push forward where before we have been sort of stagnating. So the gate 53 is a gate that actually sits on the root center. So the root center is the very bottom center of your human design, and it's about beginnings. It's about the transitions that we move through from, either where it's been stagnant or stuck, and we begin to move forward, or where something new comes along and we begin the process of connecting with it. So, all in all, it's the urge to start something new. That is the purpose of the gate 53. And if it's coming from the root center, then it's meaning it is to push us, right? It's pushing us forward, fueling our motivation to take action and giving us access to momentum, which we haven't had, right, for quite the while, since December 6th, when Mars went into retrograde. So 53 isn't a gate about like a quick win in that new beginning. It's about committing to the right long-term journey, right? And in human design, when we talk about that commitment and the energy to which you are, starting something, it really begins with the strategy that you have as a generator, or a manifesting generator, projector, manifester, or reflector. What is your strategy? And the strategy then is linked with your inner authority. So you might be a generator, manifesting generator, with the energy of your solar plexus defined. So you're waiting for clarity over time. So even though this gate 53 is activated at this moment and action again is possible, you have to be able to use your strategy and your inner authority to make those right decisions for yourself. So, feeling that inner push to initiate something right now is definitely in the air. That might mean starting a new project, or a relationship, a career move, or a personal goal, right? It means in many different areas of our lives we may feel like we're moving forward. And it's maybe wanting forward motion after these weeks of feeling stuck or feeling uncertain, or the pathways just not open for us to go anywhere. And maybe we're releasing hesitation, where we might have been, ready to take action, but hesitating for some reason, which would have been a good thing during a Mars retrograde. It's now that it's now possible to move ahead, even if the path isn't fully clear yet, right? You got to take the first step somewhere. And understand that what you do begin now needs your long term commitment, right? Because this is energy that moves up to the sacral center, meets up with the gate 42, which allows us to go to a completion, right? The gate is these two gates are part of a channel that takes us from the beginning to the end of something or to the celebration of the ending. So Mars, now in gate 53 all the way through March 21st, says that not every idea or impulse is meant to be followed. Instead of rushing into something that's just new and exciting, use your type and your strategy to understand what is correct for you. And that always the right opportunity will emerge in right timing, right? So if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel correct, then it may not be the right time or the right thing to take action on. So you have a lot of discernment that you can use to help you figure out where it is that you're meant to go. So the challenges, though, with Mars here at this gate are about rushing into something, impulsivity, just because you're tired of waiting. And of course, that can be coming from a feeling of restlessness or maybe overwhelmed by just so many options that you don't know which one to take or which one to do. And then the most negative of this particular energy is not finishing what you start. So Mars in Cancer is still pretty emotional and may need time to clarify what it is that you want to be doing. It needs time to stabilize. And not every new beginning slides right on into home in, the first time you try it. Sometimes you have to be willing to stay the course, right? The root center does help us take that stress or adrenalized stress energy and put it to good use for us, right? So that's where the gate 53 is. And make sure you're not just starting something out of fear, fear of insecurity. Maybe, when you're thinking about what do I want to begin, make it something that you're passionate about or something that is really worth your time and worth your effort, because effort is required, even though Mars has gone forward. But Mars has gone forward in Cancer, a water sign, a sign that doesn't necessarily take straight on action. Remember, the Cancer crab sort of comes around sideways. So, be good with yourself on this, right? Don't give up just because the first time you try something, it doesn't work. So trust your intuition on what to start, on when to start. If it feels aligned and you feel a sort of steady confidence, not just an urgency, I got to do this, then it's the right time. Uh, Take a small step towards something, just little baby step, just gaining some momentum. Don't rush into a full commitment yet. Maybe just do a little toe tap into the water. Um, kind of reflect on what is ready to grow in your life. Have you even planted the seeds yet? Right? You can't rush to the full on fruit of your labors if you didn't plant the seeds. So you kind of got at this feeling that you have to start somewhere, and starting small is the best way to go. Right? Just plant the seed and then see what goes. Then help keep that nurturing going until you finally get to the results. Um, if it's an idea or opportunity that keeps coming back to you, like you've been here, done this, then it's kind of worth exploring, because it's probably something, the universe is, bringing to you, telling you this is the thing to do next. So keep that in mind. If it's repeating, if it's an idea that came around, back in the fall, and here it comes around again, might be the perfect time to start taking action on that idea. Now, you could consider Mars turning direct at this gate a green light for your next chapter, whatever that is, right? If it's in your relationships, or if it's in your career, or your finances, your health, whatever area of your chart that you find this in, because this is Piscean energy, the gate 53. Excuse me. Cancer energy. So wherever Cancer is in your chart is where this energy for the beginning is occurring. Okay. Did I confuse people there? Let me know. Um, so then it's a powerful time for initiating something. And we have a new moon this week, which is also a powerful time for initiating. So likely with this like push, it almost feels like there's this push. I woke up this morning with butterflies in my stomach, which kind of tells me, oh gosh, this energy starting to build, right? Of doing, of being, of getting something done. So the key is going to be patience. It's going to be trust. It's going to be discernment so that you are aligned with the right things for you. So you could ask yourself questions like, what do I feel most drawn to right now? Or am I making a decision from excitement or from restlessness? Right. If it's excitement, that's a little more clear about this is the way for me to go. But if I'm just restless and bored and I'm just being impulsive because I need to do something, then that's not quite the right thing, the right energy to begin from. So then after that, you can determine, well, what small step can I take toward my um, uh, goal or my project in order to build momentum toward, claiming the final aspect of it. So let your new chapter begin now, right? It's kind of extraordinary that a planet turning direct and moving ahead um, is starting at a gate called starting, right? Starting. And it's your invitation to move forward, but mindfully and with purpose, not just willy-nilly and, just, going out in all different directions because you've felt stuck and stagnant. All right. A little confusion, Amy said, should I be looking at the house of my Pisces or Cancer? My bad, Amy. If you're looking at where it is that you can start to take action, you want to look at the Cancer part of your chart because that is where Mars just turned direct, right? If you're looking at where the new moon is and where there's a pile of planets stacked up, that's looking at Pisces, right? And both of them are water signs. So here's another astrological coinky dink here is that Cancer, where Mars turned direct and where we're talking about the gate 53 activating, and Pisces, where the stellium of planets is located, they're in a trine to one another. So there's a real ease and flow that is potentially available to us once we get clear on what it is that we want to begin or where it is that we want to start, right? Because then the imagination energy of Pisces is there, the flow energy of Pisces is there, the sensitivity, the intuition of Piscean energy is there. But that same energy in Pisces right now can carry away the Cancer Mars direct at gate 53 and into the wrong direction if you're leaping or if you are, impulsively starting something new. Let me know if that helps, if that made it clearer for you. Lo, would you say it would be a smoother ride if we have Mars in Pisces, a fellow water sign? I think that might generate some confusion. I think once a confusion about, well, what direction do I want to start in? What new project am I really wanting to undertake? Um, and that confusion, because it is an energy of flow, if you started the wrong thing, you could start flowing, you could start pushing or forcing against the flow, believing it to be the right thing. So you want to be very careful and tap deeply into your intuition during this period of time. And Mars in Cancer, Asa says, is conjunct her North Node in Cancer in the 8th house. Major life transformation happening here for you, Asa. And, Mars in Cancer, this is not his happy place. Cancer is a sign, Mars is all action all the time, right? If he could, he would just keep us moving in a forward motion. Um, but then he hits certain signs, and signs like Cancer are not his favorite place to be, let's say, because Cancer energy is slower energy. It acts more in on its purpose of security. It doesn't come straight at you. It kind of sidles around or comes around the side. So Mars prefers that direct route. In Cancer, he can get frustrated, right? That energy of beginning and momentum can get frustrated by the treading of water, if you will. So we may have, some time before we can actually get our feet under us, right, and land on ground. Next month or early April, when he gets back into the sign of Leo, things can heat up, right? Because now we're in fire, and Mars as a fire planet has more affinity for action in the sign of Leo. But it doesn't mean that we can't start something now, right? It doesn't mean that at all. It just means we have to take our time to gain the momentum once we put ourselves out there or once we start something. And in your case, because your destiny Asa is in the eighth house, and apparently in Cancer, then, for you, this may feel like I have to, but it's not clear yet where to begin something. So you may have to really lean into your creative self and what you really are passionate about and what you really want, rather than all of these different things that could be appearing. Which one is the most important? Which one gives you the biggest bang for your buck? Not that you can't do things with others, with other ideas, but there's got to be something in the main that you're really excited about pushing forward with. There you go. Mars, Jeannie says, stationed exactly on my 17-degree descendant, and will move back to transit my first degree Leo, Uranus opposing Chiron, with transiting Pluto, all square natal Mars and Scorpio. I need the magic to move through me. You know, I'm not sure how old you are, Jeannie, but depending on where you are in that Chiron cycle, this can either be generating more of the wounding about your path forward, or it could be finally the healing that you've been waiting for in terms of how do I move through and get to where I want to go. Pluto squaring natal Mars can be a very powerful engine for transformation or for taking action, for breaking up stagnant energy. But while Mars was retrograde, that was kind of stifled somewhat. So I would expect that to start moving, you forward. And she says she's 69. It's time to heal. I believe you. I believe you. It's time to do that. Um, so hopefully that's it, right? You're going to be moving forward, healing anything that is left for you to heal. All right. Now, let's see. Let's go on to another aspect that is occurring this week, and that is Mercury conjunct Saturn in Pisces. So now you're moving again to that Pisces area of your chart, wherever Pisces is. In the chart of the day today, that was is this the chart of the day? Pisces was in the 11th house. Let me see if I can highlight this for people so you can see Pisces. What does it look like on a chart? It looks like that. And right now you can see that we have Ceres, that's the little question mark looking symbol. The sun is the next one, Mercury's the next, Saturn, North Node, and Neptune. And then on Thursday, we'll add the moon to it. So interesting, right? All of this energy is piled in this one part. And if this was a chart of a person, that would be the 11th house, which would be the house of groups and community and humanitarianism and associations, how we network with others, and so forth. So where is it in your chart? That is the key, because that's the area of your life. And if you don't know your chart, because a lot of you might not, and some of you are listening later and you're not here to ask me the question right now, but take a look at what's been going on in your life, right? Where has there been this like keen um, energy focusing for you? Where are you feeling creative? Where do you feel this flow establishing? Where have you been really intuitive? What area of your life seems highly energized right now? because that would take you into what house is being impacted by the transit. All right. And Christine, yes, your natal 11th house, how funny this matches for you at the moment. So, the 11th house, how are you interacting with others socially and social network wise? And, how are you, placing yourself in the way of helping others? Right. Or using humanitarianism or altruism. There's another word there. And, in the natural wheel, the 11th house is ruled by Aquarius. So there's also this idea here of progress and being progressive and moving forward and, seeing the future and being goal oriented. And also, as far as money is concerned, the the 11th house would be the second house from the 10th, right? If you count the 10th and the 11th, which means the 11th house also has to do with the flow of money that comes from the work that we do in the world or how we show up in the world. So it has a lot of different meanings. And with a lot of planets in that area of your chart, you could have just one of those things or all of those things coming up for you at this moment in time. So, Mercury being the planet of communication and Saturn, being the planet of structure and form, you can almost see that our minds are kind of, even though Mercury's in Pisces, coming into connection with Saturn, our ideas may be taking shape, right? The thoughts and the ideas and the creative energies that are in our minds might be able to take better shape at this point in time. So, Mercury governs our thoughts, communication, and the way we process information. And in Pisces, typically, there's this dreamy, intuitive energy with Mercury, and sometimes a non-linear approach to ideas, right? We have like the whole fishbowl of possibilities uh, at our fingertips here. And our inner dialogue with Mercury in Pisces might be about creative vision, it might be very vivid, maybe vivid dreams, very imaginative, and even a bit elusive, like you can't quite tie down the idea. So Saturn's influence is, on the other hand, very structured, right? And brings form and discipline even to the thinking process. And when it comes into contact with Mercury, or rather, when Mercury comes into contact with Saturn in this particular case, it's a call for clarity and for patience and a methodical approach to your thoughts. Right. In Pisces, this influence can be helping us to ground our imagination or our abstract ideas. And it encourages us to refine all of those ideas into something tangible, something that's, practical and down to earth that you can actually take action on. In other words, the Piscean part of the body is the feet. So we're bringing our ideas and our feet to the ground, and then we can execute the plan based on the idea, actually, with something tangible to do with it. So during this transit, and this will be activated also with the new moon, and maybe not as close, but it will still be activated. This is structured, I'm not sure I like this word, but structured intuition, where your intuitive insights are really showing up in a way that begs you to be accountable to them, right? To listen, to pay attention. And rather than letting your thoughts kind of free float and all of that, Saturn's energy wants you to organize them and articulate them clearly. Okay. So, communication with care. There's a real conservative energy with Saturn. And that means that our conversations and written communication might take on a more serious tone, might be more dignified, might be more, what, there's a word I'm looking for, might be more carefully brought out, that make choosing our words more wisely, more carefully, ensuring that our message is both heartfelt, Piscean, but also responsibly expressed, right? So you're not just emotionally, um, you know, blurting out to everyone around you, or even, being the recipient of that from other people, recognizing when that Mercury-Saturn conjunction has gone wrong with someone else around you. We might be needing to face limitations, right? What are the limits to what our actions can be? Sometimes the free flowing energy of Mercury and Pisces can be really feeling restricted in Saturn's presence, because Saturn wants precision, wants the goal, right? Not just all this nebulous stuff, but how do we bring it together and put it to work for us? So there might be moments of mental frustration or delays, but it is sort of acting like an invitation for all of us to get clarity, to slow down enough to get clarity and review your ideas before you take action or before you say anything or write anything, and address any gaps or inconsistencies in the idea, right? And there are karmic lessons here. Anytime we're talking Saturn, we're talking about the potential for karma, and it might serve as a kind of karmic checkpoint, if you will, for how we've communicated our inner truth in the past. And it encourages us to learn from previous challenges and apply what we've learned to the new direction that is opening up for us. Maybe taking a more mature approach to how we express our ideas or how we take action on those ideas. All right. So, is a creative energy, to be sure, creative, especially around speech or writing or acting, anytime we have to communicate something, so it can be very creative that way. So maybe, if you have an idea, right? Because now we're opening up to these new actions a la Mars in Cancer direct. Maybe we can, take some time to sketch out the ideas or draft your thoughts out, do some mind mapping energy, right? So that you can get all of the ideas onto paper, all of the words even onto paper, and then go through the process of editing or rearranging the ideas and things like that, so that it can be more structured, but without losing the imaginative edge that your ideas have taken. And it might be a good time for personal reflection, especially around where you have had ideas in the past and or have had communication challenges with others in the past, and how would you like to rewrite that or reframe that during this period of time? So, all in all, it's about mindful communication that's being added to the new moon as well. And whether you're in meetings or you're writing emails or having, a personal conversations with people, be mindful of how you express your thoughts. You might need to slow down a little bit and make sure that what you're saying or what you're writing is clear, compassionate, even honest, and very measured, right? Being, very structured perhaps in how you are saying it. So don't stifle your creativity because that's not the purpose either, but rather structure your creativity. All right. Okay. So any questions? Mindful communication. Yep. Okay. Now, something else interesting that we can talk about this morning, and that is Ceres, the goddess of plenty, the goddess of nurturing and caring. The, she's an earth goddess, right? She's a dwarf planet, right? She's actually larger than Pluto, and her and Eris were the disruptors, I think, in terms of Pluto's demotion from full on planet to dwarf planet because they are bigger than he is. And she just moved into Pisces this morning. And let's talk about her, right? Let's talk about Ceres because now she's also added to that pile of planets happening in Ceres right now. Now she's an asteroid, technically speaking, dwarf planet also, right? So it doesn't matter what we call her. She is a part of what we can understand about ourselves at this point. And she's associated with nourishment, with caregiving, and the cycles of loss and renewal. She has a part in the history of the uh, the Ceres, or Demeter and Persephone myth, right? She's one of those kinds of goddesses that brings plenty, and it's very rhythmic in our seasons, right? The plenty in the spring and the summer, and then the dying off in the after the harvest in the fall and into the winter. So as she moves into Pisces, we're shifting our collective focus toward more emotional, spiritual, and intuitive forms of care, not just in the physical, but more in the mental sphere. And she brings sort of this gentle energy, unconditional, supportive energy to the table. But that can take the form of empathy, artistry, spiritual healing, right? She brings a lot of that nurturing gift energy into everything about us that isn't seen, right? The mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. But she also has the underpinnings of Earth here in the physical as well. But primarily in Pisces now, this brings emotional and spiritual nurturing, caring for others through emotional support or emotional understanding, compassion, empathy, that type of thing. And her healing energy, or her presence in Pisces, amps up the healing energy that's potential. And it's an ideal time then for us to do energy work or creative therapy or exploring spiritual self care practices like meditation or sound healing or yoga, and also all of the different divination techniques that are out there that can help us align with our higher self, including, you got it, astrology, right? So Pisces is deeply artistic. We already have talked about this. And with Ceres here, we might find nourishment through music, poetry, art, storytelling. And I guess the key would be for us to allow ourselves to have access to that level of creativity in ourselves without pressure or without judgment, making it a powerful form of self-care to indulge in beautiful music, right? Or in, beautiful art. So there's, that part that helps us sustain ourselves emotionally, but also, Ceres in Pisces teaches us to release control and trust in divine timing, in our higher selves. And rather than forcing solutions like we typically do in this world that we live in, this transit really reminds us to flow, to be in the flow of life. And even with uncertainties, right? To be in the flow of the uncertainties, if you will, knowing that healing happens in its own way, in its own time. And she is the practiced healer in the sign of Pisces. Now, while Pisces is endlessly giving, and sometimes to its own detriment, right? Ceres here can lead us to overextending ourselves emotionally, getting too overly emotionally involved with others or with what others are experiencing. So be mindful, especially if you have an open solar plexus. Be very mindful of where you might be absorbing others' emotions, and be aware of the need for boundaries during this period of time. And I mean, this is essential for self-preservation, or you might find yourself just in reaction to all of the emotional energy around you, right? Now, there's also the potential here for our awareness around earth and environmental kinds of healing, right? The transit really encourages us to nurture through collective compassion, and that includes our animal friends, our plant friends, literally Mother Earth herself. And that might mean we are supporting humanitarian causes, environmental healing, maybe caring for those in need, but also earth and water based healing practices come to mind, or ocean health rituals, or herbal baths, or grounding in nature, being out in, the nature that is around us. And it may feel especially nourishing during this period of time, kind of almost getting back to nature, getting back to your natural self. So with Ceres now in Pisces and a part of the whole new moon coming up, prioritize your emotional and spiritual self-care. Lean into practices that soothe you at the soul level. Use creativity as a healing outlet. Journaling, painting, music, any of those things that are creative in nature can really help us, you know, express our emotions. Be mindful of boundaries. Support others, but don't, deplete yourself in the process. And that's a real danger with so many planets in Pisces anyway. Embrace surrender. That's a tough one, right? Release expectations, if you will, and trust that things will unfold exactly as they're meant to, that no amount of your emotional energy directed at it or mind energy directed at it is going to change things, right? Things just go with the flow during this time. Connect with water energy. There is a lot of water energy right now. Spend time by the ocean, take baths, practice water meditation. Just remember that water is formable. Whatever you put water in, it takes the shape, right, of. And that means it also impacts our bodies. And when we are focused on negative thoughts or negative self talk, then, we're really taking the water in the body and forming it to meet that expectation. So we have to be very aware of how it is that what the environment is that we're around. Is it a harsh environment? The conversations around you are, is it all this harsh banter? Thinking, what thoughts are you thinking, and are they harsh, or do they need to be gentled up? All of these things can be, very important now, as you see, we all seem to be more prone to toxins, right? Or to toxicity. And that's a Piscean thing. But now you put this bunch of planets in that sign, and there are lots of different ways in which things can become toxic for us, even the foods we eat, the water that we drink. So being aware of that, right? I like that, Christine. Turn off the news and turn on music. Exactly, right? Or instead of always just thinking you have to work, 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 do something more fun, do something more artistic or creative, and live it, out loud that way, right? So Ceres in Pisces reminds us that true nurturing comes from love, comes from creativity and surrendering to, whatever is happening around us. So hold space for healing. It's a time for holding space for healing, both your own and anybody else that is around you, while remembering that care doesn't mean self sacrifice. You don't have to give yourself away to help another person. And when we flow with the tides of Piscean energy, we really discover that nurturing isn't just about doing, it's about being, it's about allowing and trusting in the unseen forces that guide us, your guides, or the unseen hand of evolution, let's say, that is occurring on the planet. Okay, now let's go to the new moon. By the way, and I will be on air also on Wednesday this week, so I might review the new moon before I jump into what's happening as we move into the month of March, and then I will also be on air on Friday. So 3 times this week: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, talking about March on Wednesday specifically, and who knows what we'll talk about on Friday. Probably more about March. So the new moon. The new moon is on Thursday. It occurs at 7:45 p.m. Eastern time. So West Coast, we are going to have it at 4:45 p.m. and it occurs at 9 degrees 41 minutes of Pisces, so almost to the 10th degree of Pisces. And it is a powerful, multi-layered event because there are so many planets there, right? The sun, the moon, Ceres, Saturn, Mercury, the North Node, and Neptune, all in the sign of Pisces. Let's take a look at the chart for that day. Um, Piscean energy. It's really kind of extraordinary how much is going on in Pisces. This is the chart for the new moon. And this is why we've been talking about Pisces so much, right? Look at all of that. From the bottom to the top, Ceres, the sun and moon, Saturn, Neptune, North Node, and our Mercury, North Node, and Neptune. So that's happening in your chart, right? In the sign of Pisces. So this is why we've been spending this time talking about this because it is unique, right? Not a very there's not very many new moons in my memory, not even full moons in my memory where there's been this amount of energy in one sign. So it is overwhelmingly Piscean energy, kind of rich with the themes of intuition, compassion, creativity, and spiritual depth, right? This is a very highly spiritual new moon happening for us. And, we have key themes that are associated with Pisces that may be opening up for us as we move into Thursday's new moon. First of all, deep emotional awareness. In talking with people over the past week, sorry, froggy throat. Our inner world has been really spotlighted by this influx of Piscean energy. And now, with both the sun and the moon also joining forces in this sign, it's an invitation for us to dive deep into all of that emotional energy and to trust our intuition. Expect heightened sensitivity from you, but also for everybody else around you. And this will be a time, and probably is a continuing time because I bet it's already been happening, where you're uncovering hidden truths about yourself and about your emotions and about, your experiences of a Piscean nature. There's nurturing and healing in this particular new moon. Ceres in Pisces emphasizes caring for yourself and for others on an emotional level, also a spiritual level, though. And it's time to nurture your wounds, practice self compassion, and create space for healing in your life and help others to see that as working in their lives as well. And Saturn and the North Node together here in the sign of Pisces highlight karmic lessons in Pisces. And that urges us to balance our dreams with responsibility for taking action and be realistic, right? Neptune here could be very idealistic, but Saturn and the North Node together say, okay, but can you take the ideal and turn it into something real? And even as you explore the more mystical side of this energy and the mystical side of life, how can you ground that in to your day-to-day living? And there's this dreamy communication and creative flow with Mercury in Pisces, infusing us with thoughts that are poetic, with words that are poetic, that have a real imaginative quality to them. Sometimes that can lead us to feeling a little scattered. We're too much up in the dream realm, and it's harder for us to put our feet on the ground. So we might want to tap in to the mystical and the spiritual, but always remembering to have our feet on the ground, doing grounding exercises even before you get into meditation, right? Putting roots down so that you're not floating out there in the cosmos without any tether. So, being very careful of that right now, right? Because dream side is very powerful. There might be time with Neptune here of mystical and spiritual insights because Neptune is in its own home sign, and the spiritual and mystical aspects of Pisces are amplified with Neptune here, as well as all the other planets, but especially Neptune. So it's a prime time for meditation and artistic expression and, all of the exploration of the inner world. And that feels both magical but also transformational, right? Things that are that make us, get so amazed at the world around us. I took some really beautiful pictures this morning. Um, there was a beautiful pink coral sunrise. And I was amazed that there was even a sunrise because we've been in the midst of this atmospheric river dumping all kinds of rain on us. I didn't expect to have any kind of, beautiful sunrise, but there it was. And it brings to mind the magic of the universe that we live in. So how to move through this new moon energy? Well, the new moon is always a time for setting intentions, and it's in the dark, right? We don't have any there it's a time of pure intention setting, if you will. There's nothing that's, bound to it yet. So we can set intentions that are aligned with that Piscean with the Piscean qualities that we've seen. So, around healing, around creativity and imagination, spiritual exploration. And then taking a look at the house that Pisces is in for you and setting intentions around that as well. Embrace creative practices, right? Really get into creativity using that imaginative energy of Mercury and Neptune, both in Pisces, to bring your creative energies up and practice mindfulness and meditation, right? It is the best way that we have to ground the spirit into the physical realm. Honor self-care and boundaries. I've said that already a couple of times this morning. Reflect on any karmic lessons that are showing up for you. The presence of Saturn in the North Node again really suggests that long-standing patterns or lessons may be emerging, like you're seeing them clearly, maybe for the first time. Um, and maybe what all we need is to be able to see that and that pattern and choose a different path, right? Choose to transform that behavior or that challenge into something more beautiful and positive, because this is also a very transformational time. All right. Now, I can also go into each of the planets, but since we're getting a little low on time, I think I'll do that through a blog post for you all. Let's draw a card. I actually put a deck on my desk. There it is. Sorry, I don't know what the hoarse throat is all about this morning. I picked the Dreamweavers Oracle today. Because I really felt like Piscean energy really puts us in the way of this sort of weaving of our dreams into reality. And this is a deck by Colette Baron Reed. And let's see what we get here. Ooh, this one. All right, it's card number 17, and it says, even wisdom needs to rest. That's an interesting card. Those look like whales, right? With the all seeing eye up there. 17 is the number 8. So we have, infinity, we have abundance, we have spirit meeting matter, and even wisdom needs to rest. So interesting. Let's see. I don't think we've ever gotten this card. Okay. It says the essential meaning is giving yourself time to slow to slow down and dream, allowing ideas to form without forward movement, a necessary natural cycle of downtime. So, for those of you who are feeling tired, now you know what you can do: rest, right? Sometimes you are exposed to so much information, it overwhelms you. You aren't able to translate that knowledge into wisdom because you don't find time for integration. Life is busy, and you may be used to moving through life's obstacle course at a fast pace. You might even be at a time in your life when you're working so hard to achieve your goals, you think you're not allowed time to take a break. What if you missed something or let go of a responsibility? What would happen if you said no to something or to someone? Now is the time for releasing the badge of busy. This is a time for slowing down and integrating the knowledge you have gained. You will not receive the wisdom of your past experiences if you don't pause and process. Take your eyes off your to do lists and goals. Relax, knowing that resting is imperative to integrate the information you need to thrive. Now is the time for dreaming, for downtime, for slowing your pace and taking things off your plate. Maybe take a vacation or at the very least schedule time to do nothing. It's funny that we'd have to schedule time to do nothing, but in this very busy world, that makes sense, doesn't it? It's an uncanny truth that the cycle of non-action, not doing, resting, and dreaming can sometimes bring the most astounding revelations upon your return. Remember, even wisdom needs to rest. I think that's a great reminder for all of us as we move into this week, as Mars energy begins to build and to make us want to take that next step forward. But we also have all of those Piscean planets that are also encouraging us to be self nurturing and self caring and to enact boundaries, right? Remember all of that. All right, you guys, I will see you on Wednesday with Tam, where we will take a look at what's coming up for March. And March is a big month where we have the first of the eclipses coming up. We have Neptune moving into Aries. There's a lot to talk about for Mars. I hope to see you then. And if not, I will see you all on Friday. All right, take care. Bye for now.